So I wanted to share a little bit of my history as I've had pec tear surgery 3 times. A very unfortunate turn of events that I just want to talk about in case you yourself are going through a pec tear, or if you're interested, or if you're fearful of something like that happening to yourself. I just want to share my experiences because it's dramatically changed my life. So I'll give you kind of the full story. First off, I'll just show off the scar because that's what happened after 3 pec tears. I don't, like, the muscle's kind of weird with how it connects, but that's that there. I've lost a lot of size. But I guess flash forward back to October 2020 when I first tore my pec. So I was benching, and the problem, what caused the pec tear itself, was I was doing 315 pounds on bench press on a Sunday, where I previously benched on that Friday. So I didn't have a long enough rest period between the 2 days. This is my own stupidity. I don't know what I was doing. I was overtraining often, but I was sleeping good, eating good, and it just happened that one day, it was a Saturday going into Sunday, I had a terrible sleep. I was dehydrated, and I think that caused a lot of the issues itself too, was just the lack of hydration. So dehydrated, low on sleep, nutrition was fine, but I overstretched it too because I'm a personal trainer, so I liked to do a lot of mobility and stability. I over-focused on the mobility. I was doing a lot of chest openers with the bands that really opens up the lat, or opens up the lats in the chest here. And my big major mistake was over mobilizing the pec tendon. Now, if you do a lot of mobility, especially static stretches, you can loosen up the tendon and make it easier to snap. So that is a huge worry. So mobility is amazing. Just don't over mobilize like I did. And if you're mobilizing, do some stability. I didn't do enough stability. So like a kettlebell bottom up press is a good way to help stabilize the shoulder joint after doing a lot of mobility. I didn't do that. I was being dumb. I was just ego lifting because I had friends in the gym, and you know, that's what guys do, unfortunately, sometimes. You know, when you're lifting, you get in the mindset that good music's playing, it's a Sunday, you know, you're going to get into things. And not to mention, it was one of my first ever vacations that next week, which I was planning on hitting my new 1-rep maxes. So I was going for like sets of 5 on weight that was pretty, you know, heavy. So 315-pound bench press. I was doing reps. I did 4 sets, and then on my 5th set, I was lucky and I grabbed a friend to spot, but on the 5th rep itself, I came down and then, oh, no. I'll play the video now of that happening because it's an important part of, you know, this whole story. It can happen to anyone. So that's just the thoughts that I want to provide to you. I'll play this video now. And yeah, that is a pretty rough pec tear. So you can't really see that well in the video. The bar just drops, but I knew immediately my pec was torn. Like I got up and I touched into the shoulder, and the pec just wasn't attached like it normally was. Like you'll see like the pec will come inwards to the humerus arm bone there, and it just wasn't connecting like that. I noticed it in the shower too, like because later on when I had a shower, I just felt around, and yeah, it was definitely not connected. The first thing I did, immediately went to the hospital. If you think you have a pec tear, go to the hospital. I swear that is the #1 thing you should be doing. I get people that comment on some of my videos where I've talked previously about pec tear being like, I think I tore my pec, what should I do? Go to the hospital. Like that's plain and simple the #1 thing you should do in that situation. Otherwise, you're just delaying you're gonna have to get surgery if it's fully torn off. I don't know the full, like mine was a full tear, but if you have partial tears, there's sometimes an ability for the body to regenerate. Don't quote me on that, but a full tear does require it to be surgically reattached. So the way that mine deattached was the tendon connects into the humerus there. What happened was it slingshotted back to around here. I can still feel like a lot of the scar tissue. So it was like 8 centimeters that it retracted because it just ripped off and shot back, and the muscle balls back up. Now, if I hadn't got the surgery, my pec would have just been a ball that like continually atrophied till it wasn't anything left because it wasn't pulling on any muscles, or it wasn't pulling on any bones. It wasn't getting trained. So if I was doing chest press, it wouldn't work. It would be my anterior deltoid that would take over during that exercise. So yeah, 3 surgeries. I'll get into that. So surgery #1 was to reattach the pec. This went less than optimal. I do have a full video on that. It was one of my first ever YouTube videos. This is what inspired me to actually get into YouTube a lot more. But they reattached it. It took 6 hours to reattach it. I had a lot more muscle back then. So what caused the issue was they reattached it upside down. Like they had it all twisted the first time, so they had to go in and redo it. But then they screwed in a suture anchor, which is a little piece that goes into the bone that holds everything together. So flash forward a year after surgery, I'll just skip all the boring parts, and I had a little hole on Christmas Eve open up, which is a great present. And in that hole, there was a bunch of pus and drainage coming out. I was disgusted. I didn't know what the heck was going on. And then a suture itself, like a little piece of fabric that was used to tie together, came out. Usually these will dissolve on their own, but it didn't dissolve for me. So that was a bit of a concern because that's not normal. And what it was there was I had an allergy to the suture anchor. My body was trying to forcefully remove the suture anchor by creating pus and drainage channels for it to come on out. Now, we didn't know this at the time, so I had another surgery. I went through a lot during that surgery because when you have an allergy like that and your body's trying to remove it, it's not going to heal after the fact. So after that surgery, I had like a zombie shoulder for 5 months. That was draining pus, bleeding. I had to get it cleaned every single day in the hospital. I was in the hospital for 5 months because of this. So it was 1 year and then another surgery and then 5-month period where I stayed in the hospital, went to same day treatment every single day. They would clean it out with saline because I needed to prevent it from getting any worse. I was also connected to a PICC line. If you don't know what that is, you have a bag with antibiotics. It connects in. There's a tube that they do a procedure. They put it in and it goes into your heart. So while this is happening, I had the PICC line in, which PICC lines are very uncomfortable. You can't sleep properly with them because you're permanently connected to the bag. So I had that PICC line in. And on top of that, like if I laid kind of like facing left-hand side, the tube was really long and it would poke my heart and my heart would palpitate a bunch. So I had all that going on as well alongside everything else. It was extremely unfortunate. And the Pec Tear Surgery number 2 was not even necessary. And I'll get into why number 3 was the surgery to fix it all. I was trying to tell my surgeon before Pec Tear Surgery 2 that I think I'm allergic to the suture anchor. I've read reports of like, there's a lady that 38 years after her surgery had an allergic reaction to the suture anchor and it rejected and her body tried to force it out. That's what was happening to me. And I tried to tell him that and he said there's no way that could happen. He shut that down immediately. And I kept trying to advocate for myself and say, no, I think that's what's happening here. I have bad allergies. I don't think it's an infection. He did a test and he said that there was an infection there and that's why they went overkill with the antibiotics. I have a whole other video on getting floxed by ciprofloxacin, so you can search that up on my channel to get a bit more in-depth knowledge on how antibiotics can really impact you too in a bad way. But after all those antibiotics, it was surgery number 3 that really did fix things. So in the third surgery, he said that the suture anchor was literally like loose and he just pulled it out no problem. So it wasn't a difficult procedure to remove it. Typically it is, if you need to get a suture anchor, you know, it's like screwed into your bone. To unscrew it, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, especially if it's a muscle that's been reattached. So yeah, they ended up cleaning it out, removing the suture anchor. And lo and behold, that zombie shoulder that I had for 5 months finally started to heal. I stopped bleeding out all the time and stopped draining pus and all this gross stuff. It was the suture anchor that I needed to remove. So that's why I had 3 pec tear surgeries, literally a nightmare freak accident. If you're watching this video and you're concerned that this may happen to you, don't be, because what happened to me was like a 1 in a million chance of happening. Very unfortunate luck. It doesn't happen. From what I've researched, it doesn't happen often, but hey, if you're going through something similar, you had a surgery and then it's not healing, that could be it. It could potentially be it. So I would get it checked and try to talk to your doctor and share that there is a study somewhere, as I've found, where that lady had that suture get allergic reaction to it 30 some years later. So it can happen. I didn't have a titanium screw. It was like an organic screw. I don't know what that fully means. I'm not a doctor by any stretch of the imagination, so I don't know exactly what that is, but that's what caused it. So yeah, if you're going through a surgery and it's not healing, advocate for yourself. I just want to make this video to talk about the 3 pec tear surgeries that I had, kind of the full story there, and just kind of clear the air on this situation, because it's something that I've been going through for 3+ years now of just complete pain and agony. But yeah, if you have questions around this, I'm not a doctor, but I'll try to do my best to share my experiences and what I've went through with you. And if you think you tore your pec, go see a doctor right away. Really, anything pec related. If you think you've torn a muscle, go see the doctor, because the sooner they can get it repaired, the better the chance that it will be a successful one. So I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, hit that subscribe button below. Helps the channel out. I appreciate it. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.